Leadership means talking through the hard stuff. When new teams begin, it can be very, very polite. People make the effort to listen, to engage, and to work with the team. We observe best behaviour in an effort towards best practice. Teams are forming. It is at this stage we ask questions. We don't make waves. Everyone takes turns, and life is somewhat pleasant. Then, as time moves on, we start to norm or to develop an understanding of how we might work together. We develop routines, we begin to establish our teams, and things gain traction. We begin to feel that things might work, and the initial effort is coming together and falling into place. Note, Tuckman, the theorist of all of this stuff, suggests that norming comes after storming. I agree, but I also think it might come in here. And then, like a surprise, a bolt of lightning or something, sometimes little by little, the wheels begin to wobble. Arguments break out in the team and people become disgruntled. Irritation starts. We start to doubt what we believed in the norming stage and wonder if we got it all wrong. Teams begin to storm. It is at this point our leadership is essential. What do you do? Do you leave it? Do you challenge the behaviour? Do you step in and take over? What is the best line of attack? Or is there no need to attack at all? What do you do? First, we need to acknowledge that these stages are very normal and natural parts of teams forming. We need to go through each of these stages to become performing teams. And secondly, we acknowledge that this process happens again and again as new people join teams, as circumstances and expectations and roles change. To be a high-performance team, we need to work through each of these phases. We need to lead through these phases. Stage 1, forming. Leading this means we consider the purpose of the team, the dynamics of the people needed in these teams, and in terms of work. Leadership is about setting the direction, expectations, encouraging, observing, participating. Authenticity. Stage 2, norming. Leaders will often step back a little at this stage, allowing teams to begin to get on with their work. Leadership involves coaching, questions, guidance, adding in information and content. It's about leaving the teams to set their direction. Then comes stage 3, storming. 2 options for leaders here: step in or step out. This takes EQ, that emotional intelligence, an essential leadership trait. Reading the situation, what it might need. Is the storming isolated to a working peer? Is it a team? Is it in multiple pockets of the institution? Is it about people, resources, the work, personalities, different ways of working, different value bases, different perspectives? FYI, the most dynamic and effective teams are those that are set for purpose. What is it that you need this team to do? Do you need compliance and status quo? Then you would need people who think alike and work in a similar way. Do you need change and challenge, new thinking, a dynamic? Then you need different personalities and different perspectives. People that irritate each other. Be prepared in both scenarios for storming. In a team of similar, you may get silent or underground storming, where in a dynamic team, it will be more obvious and more overt. Is your EQ and leadership up to this challenge? A leadership suggestion. Storming is not a phase to ignore. Leadership needs to ease in, redirect, reset expectations, directions, and stand firm. It doesn't mean to be autocratic. It does need affirmation, reassurance, and at times open honesty, acknowledging that things are not working as effectively, providing feedback and asking reflective questions. It's time to get closer. It's hard, and it can be a little raw, but it's essential. Strong teams are built on trust. Trust comes from storming. It is the product of the storming phase as teams reform. Teams with trust as their foundation are the most effective teams. Lencioni. We will explore more of his work later. Teams take the time to re-establish boundaries, ways of working, with honesty and more openness, but only if the storming has been well led. Take care. Without effective leadership, your teams could become untrusting, ineffective, and quite dysfunctional, working at a very superficial level. Address the rocks in the river, the things that stop things working, stop people from talking and stop the water from flowing freely, things that make it polite, but not honest conversation. Stage 4. Because of the trust developed through storming, teams begin to perform. Storming doesn't mean shouting. It doesn't necessarily mean arguments. It does mean clarifying how we will work around here. It is a phase of clarity and deepened understanding. And then with performing, we gain momentum. Purpose is clear. Life accelerates and the work becomes interesting. What questions do you ask to get your team there? How many leaders take the time to teach this theory, analogy to their teams? What happens to the team if you acknowledge this process? What is the impact of an autocratic leader during the storming stage? Read more. Bruce Tuckman, 1965.